Popular Front wants to be back on top, back at the forefront of the political scene. To flex its muscles on the ground, it has held a series of rallies. The latest was Sunday in its stronghold of Yopougon.
We're very happy today, because today we want to see the FPI back on the political stage. The FPI is not dead. The FPI is the biggest party in Côte d'Ivoire. They tried to shut it down, but as you can see, the activists are back doing their jobs.
With presidential elections only a year from now, the FPI is back out on the voting trail.
Prosecutors in Egypt have accused the embattled former President Mohamed Morsi of leaking state secrets to Iran's Revolutionary Guard between 2005 and 2013. And seen as a tit-for-tat move, anti-Balaka militias say they will not disarm unless Seleka fighters do so. In the Central African Republic, let's now turn to CFI for these and other stories around the African continent.
Public anti-Balaka Christian militias are continuing to carry out attacks. The anti-Balaka say they will disarm under the condition that Muslim-majority Seleka fighters put down their weapons first.
After the disarmament of the ex-Seleka, we will hold a big march in Bangui, starting from PK-12 all the way to Point Zero. And all the arms that we have, the machetes and all the other sharp weapons, will be laid down in front of the international community.
Saturday, 3 Muslim civilians were taken from a taxi and lynched by a mob near Bangui airport. In South Africa, Julius Malema, who was expelled from the ruling ANC, is campaigning to become a Minister of Parliament in elections next May. He promises access to water and electricity, the expropriation of white-owned farms, the nationalization of mines, as well as sanctions for corruption.
As a way of fighting corruption, anyone who is found guilty of corruption shall be sent to prison for a minimum sentence of 20 years.
Julius Malema is himself facing charges of tax evasion and money laundering.
From the mines, we shall finance.
In Egypt, prosecutors accused deposed President Mohamed Morsi of leaking state secrets to Iran's Revolutionary Guards between 2005 and 2013. Mohamed Morsi and 35 others reject charges of conspiring with foreign powers. If they are found guilty, the defendants face the death penalty. Mohamed Morsi remains a leader of the Muslim Brotherhood.
She has finally gained her freedom, and it is apparently looking clearer that out-of-favor former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko is set to bounce back in active politics. In the heat of the moment, activists are weighing on Tymoshenko's chances of capturing Ukraine's hottest seat. CNN's Phil Black says the Mandela moment is gripping Kiev at a time the whereabouts of the former president remains unknown.
Hours earlier. I think that Ukraine will do well now, she tells me. It will be in Europe, it will be free, and it will be democratic. Daughter Yevgenia had lobbied world leaders to help her mother.
When the parliament voted, I burst out crying, and I was trying to see her, and I just feel so proud to be her daughter. I just feel so proud to be Ukrainian.
This woman has an army of loyal supporters, but this isn't a Mandela moment. People here have good reasons for disliking politicians. Yulia Tymoshenko's earlier time as a dominant figure was tarnished by infighting, scandal and disappointment. She's now expected to fight for the presidency. She must convince a divided nation she can lead them again.
Sarah, the people on the square behind me are so much closer to achieving their goals, but today there is no sense of victory or celebration. The mood here is incredibly sombre. They're very much thinking about the human cost of this revolution. They are thinking about the many people who were gunned down on the streets around this square just a few days ago.
Meanwhile, there is no let-up on the ongoing protests that have filled the streets of the Venezuelan capital, with people demanding better conditions of living. However, on the other side of the coin, supporters of the socialist government do not have kind words for the right-wing Venezuelans for instigating trouble. We have this exclusive report from CNN's correspondents Rafael Ramos and Carl Penhall in Caracas.
A sea of flag-waving opposition supporters, many dressed in white, gathered in eastern Caracas.
All of these people say they're tired of the government of President Nicolás Maduro. In fact, they're blaming him personally for the insecurity, shortages, blackouts, and other problems that Venezuela is currently experiencing. They say the government of President Nicolás Maduro is a dictatorship, and they want change now.
They've been protesting now for more than 2 weeks. They say their situation has become unbearable. The government fails to guarantee our right to life, this man says. We're condemned to death.
Repression, there's no freedom of expression. There are people that are in jail that they shouldn't be in jail.
The crowd is going wild because opposition leader Enrique Capriles has just made his entrance onto the platform.
Capriles' response to President Maduro's offer of dialogue: take your words and hide them you know where.
The opposition is blaming the government for cases of torture, unjustified detention and death, while the government is strongly denying the accusation. Opposition leaders are asking all of these people to stay on the streets to demand change.
Across on Caracas' west side, their rivals were marching.
Take a look around. Government loyalists out in force, and that's exactly why the opposition are going to find it very difficult to win the battle of street politics. These government supporters know the streets, they grew up on the streets, and they're united behind a single cause, and that is the memory of the late Hugo Chavez.
Chavez died almost a year ago, but he's still their idol. I love him like he was my father. He was a good man. There was nobody like him, she says. Women spearheaded Saturday's pro-government demo. Soaring inflation, spiraling crime and food shortages have not deterred the diehards. They blame opposition right-wingers, not government mismanagement. The rich are the ones to blame. They're the ones giving the guns and the drugs to the kids, she says. The defense minister is on the march and on the lookout. We're on the alert for any intervention or act of aggression from inside or abroad, the minister says. Political divisions run deep. They're thieves, fascists and traitors. Long live Chavez, he says.
The report by Rafael Ramos and Carl Penhall in Caracas takes us to our second break. And before we take leave of you, a quick reminder of the day's top stories. After laying to rest Bishop Telewe Johnson in the Gambia, visiting archbishops of the Anglican Church paid a courtesy call on Secretary General, Minister of Presidential Affairs and Civil Service, Mamadou Sabally, at the State House. Citing gross mismanagement, public accounts members at the National Assembly have rejected the 2009-2012 National Development Enterprise Initiative audited activity reports and financial statements. Despite his trial at the ICC, the party former president Laurent Gbagbo found that is setting its sights on the 2015 presidential election in Ivory Coast. And even after the whereabouts of former Ukrainian president remain likely unknown, activists in Kiev are describing the release of the former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko from prison as the Mandela moment. That was all in this edition of the News at 8. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with GRTS.